So RIR is another subjective measurement of where you're kind of sitting in a set. So this is it's not quite similar to RPE. It's kind of like the inverse operation of RPE. So repetitions and reserves, meaning of how many reps you have left in the tank. So we kind of talked a little bit about earlier about AMRAP -1. So repetitions in reserve would be exactly that. So if I said AMRAP -1, I want you to perform as many reps as possible, -1 rep. Or I could say 1 RIR, meaning I want you to leave 1 rep in reserve. So a lot of people now within repetitions in reserve takes a lot of experience in order to understand where you're kind of sitting. And a lot of people will kind of usually lowball it at the start and they'll say, oh, I couldn't do any more, until they get into more of these deeper and harder efforts or more AMRAP sets or more understanding of where they can kind of push to and what a true feeling of a 10 out of 10 and the rate of perceived exertion feeling is. So RIR is more of an intermediate kind of training method to understanding of where people are sitting in some things. So sometimes we can assign this to sets where I want you to leave 2 repetitions in reserve or 1 repetition in reserve. But this also offers a more accurate diagnosis of, rather than saying a 9.5 of an RPE, I want you to leave a 1 repetition in reserve in a back squat, at 95% or something like that. So most of the time when people are operating between 90 and 100%, they're not going to be able to do a second rep of that. It is usually they could add a little bit more weight, but it's a tough set. So 1 repetition in reserve can be an easier way to kind of just communicate that to some people. So repetition in reserve is just an alternate subjective method of understanding or concisely trying to explain your efforts kind of in that day. So hopefully that kind of explains what RIR means.